Oh, hello, everyone. We're live right now from Detroit, the NFL draft. I'm joined with my friend Jordan. Jordan, how you doing?
Excellent. It's nice to be in person.
It's all right.
All right.
It's all right. Jordan woke me up this morning. I'm feeling a little cranky. It's the draft. We're from Detroit.
I don't know how to respond to that, but well, we are in Detroit. We were there for round 1. We were there for round 2 and 3 yesterday. We're here again for rounds 4 through 7 as well. And I got to be honest, it's been pretty cool.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's been
a lot of fun, Jordan.
It has been a lot of fun.
It's been a hoot.
It has been a lot of fun.
A lot of videos taken. A lot of fun stuff has happened.
Oh yeah, we'll share it throughout the episode here. But I think that we were part of a record-breaking crowd. 270,000 people were there in round 1. 270. Like closed admission, like couldn't get in. So it was really cool to be there. And even better was just getting to see people who knew the pod, listen to the pod. We met up with Don, longtime listener of the pod. So good to meet him in person. And we love the community here.
Yeah, it's good. It's been a lot of fun.
So
I'm tired. I'm going to be honest.
Well, yeah, it's late nights. Late nights. The draft goes well into the night. So
we have to do an episode for you guys.
We have to. We gotta talk about the first round. Some
surprises.
Yeah, first 14 picks, all offense. 23 of the 32 also offense in the first round. So you know what that means, Jake? Great for fantasy football.
Oh yeah,
great for fantasy.
You said that,
football.
I was like, I don't.
Great for fantasy football. So we had something like 6 quarterbacks, 7 wide receivers, bunch of offensive linemen. So we'll get into that here. But Jake, any initial thoughts or reactions from the draft before I dive in?
What are the Falcons doing?
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get into it. Let's start with the first 4 picks, Jake. I don't think there were any surprises.
No.
Number 1.
Caleb Williams goes first. Jaden Daniels goes to the Commanders, and then May goes to the Patriots. Which is great. And then Marvin Harrison goes 4. So no trades, which was a bummer. We were kind of hoping for that.
I know. I was just ready for like the clock to switch to another team and be like, oh, there's been a trade, and the crowd to go crazy. But 1 through 4 is exactly what we expected. Jake, how do you feel about Caleb Williams to Chicago?
It's good stuff.
We were talking to some Bears fans. We were decked out in our Packer gear, and the Bears fans. We had a lot of Bears fans. We were talking to each other.
Yeah, there's nothing better. They're all in like number 13 Bears jerseys, and it was announced that he's going to be number 18. So that brings just such joy to my heart.
Got to buy another jersey, But I mean, obviously we talked a lot about this leading up to draft. I like it. And then Jaden Williams to Washington, or Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. To Washington, which I guess that was a little bit of a toss-up. Were they going to take Drake May or Jaden Daniels? But I think the consensus heading into round 1 was that it was going to be Jaden Daniels.
Kind of just went the way we thought it was going to do. How would you rank those 3 quarterbacks in fantasy for next year?
In fantasy, I think I would take Caleb Williams, then Jaden Daniels, then Drake May. I would take them kind of in that order, I think. But I think the drop-off between Daniels and May is pretty significant in my mind.
Yeah, I don't really want anything to do with the Patriots.
I think long-term, like dynasty, maybe, right, for Drake May, but that's a tough spot to be in right now. The Patriots are in a full rebuild, and I think Jaden Daniels, I've read somewhere that Jaden Daniels is Justin Fields at his best.
Yeah.
Like what we hoped out of Justin Fields, like you were hyped about Justin Fields and like what that ceiling was in your head, that is what Jaden Daniels is.
Correct.
Yeah. And then 4th was Marvin Harrison. He's a lock.
He's going to be a top 25 pick.
Top 25
in redraft.
I like that. I think that's probably true. With Kyler.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen rookie receivers go early before. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. And I think he's probably more touted than all of those guys. So definitely top 25. And I think he can return that for sure.
Return that value. Yeah. Well, let's talk quarterbacks here, and then we'll jump into wide receivers. So other quarterbacks taken in the first round, there were 6 total. So Caleb goes to Chicago. Jaden goes to Washington. Drake May goes to New England, and then Jake's messing with my settings.
I'm sorry. I'm looking.
Hold on. He's messing with my settings. So Drake May goes to New England. Then the shock of the draft, I think, is that in the top 10, the Falcons take Michael Penix.
Yeah, I saw a thing today that was said, because right now, as of recording, it is day 3. So it's the 4th round. I saw a thing this morning that said that the Falcons are interested in Spencer Rattler so that they can start planning for after Penix.
What are they doing?
It's not true. I'm just saying it's because he's already older, and they're like, it's all right. he could sit behind Kirk for 4 years. So he's going to start when he's 30,
Yeah.
which is weird.
And rumor has it that it was a surprise to Kirk Cousins.
Kirk wasn't happy.
Yeah, he wasn't happy. But then they had a phone call, Penix and Cousins did, and apparently things are better. Or they were able to talk, I guess, and they said that they had a good conversation. But yeah, I think it's just a surprise. Like the Falcons, their defense was terrible last year.
Yeah,
what are you playing for? The future?
You think they go Latu or Dallas Turner or something like that? There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They didn't.
Yeah.
And it's just weird that they went that way after paying Kirk $180 million.
Yeah, surprising. Especially Penix is a little bit older, so.
Yeah, he's 24.
24.
So if he waits until Kirk's both contracts are done in the same year, which is weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that is tough. I don't know what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, fantasy-wise, not a factor. Not a factor for this, I would say, this year, maybe next year. We did talk to someone. We were talking to a bunch of fans, and someone had a bold prediction that Penix would start this year. So we'll see. But again, not worth drafting. I think getting to the next quarterback in my mind that has the best chance of being fantasy relevant is at number 10. The Vikings traded up. They swapped with the Jets. So the Jets were at 10, Vikings were at 11. And they jumped up one spot and they took J.J. McCarthy, the Vikings.
So I think they jumped up because I'm sorry, who'd they trade with?
The Jets.
The Jets were like, we're trading this pick.
Who wants it?
Who wants it? And whoever gets it is getting
their
J.J. McCarthy. Yeah. So they had to move up a spot. I like the spot.
Yeah, I think 10. I think the Vikings are probably happy too. I bet you the Vikings thought that they would have to go up to like 4, 3. I know that pick was open. Like 5 with the Chargers, so I'm sure they were happy just to have to jump one spot for it. But J.J. McCarthy, we're pretty sure he's going to start right away, but there might be. I'm sure the Vikings will do their thing. It's like open competition, and then J.J. will probably start. I like him because he has thrown to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison's great. T.J. Hawkinson, the pass catchers are great. It's versus I think Drake May, who has no pass catchers, even though the talent is probably better. Mm-hmm. When you have no pass catchers, it's hard. Hard to be fantasy relevant in your first year. I think the Vikings are a good spot for that. So, Jake, if you're drafting in a redraft, which quarterback are you taking? Imagine Caleb and Jaden Daniels are already gone. Drake May, Penix.
Well, you're not taking Penix.
You're not taking Penix.
That's not happening.
JJ, or who the Broncos took at 12, Bo Nix. Who's the next one on your list?
Excuse me. I like J.J. McCarthy, our buddy here, who's off camera playing Madden. Jack, say hi to everybody.
There it is.
He likes some Bo Nix. I know Adam's gonna get on here and really talk up Bo Nix. You know he's going to.
Yeah.
I like J.J. McCarthy. He's got Justin Jefferson. He should start week 1. This guy over here does not think he's going to start week 1. I was not just going back to last year. I was a big proponent of like C.J. Stroud to sit behind Case Keenum for a few games. And who was another one? Anthony Richardson should sit behind Gardner Minshew, who's going to be starting all 16 games this year.
You said Bryce Young behind
Top
Andy
20
Dalton.
Quarterback.
Gardner Minshew?
Book it.
Oh, boy. All right.
Oh, it's good. I've decided to get off that train. Like, you got to start JJ. And you got Justin Jefferson. Who's that running? They got Aaron Jones there now.
Yeah.
Like, it's a better offense.
Yeah,
it's just
definitely.
So I would go that route. Would you agree?
Agreed. Oh, I'm always been a supporter of if you draft a guy in the first round, you should start him.
Mm-hmm.
You should start him right away. So trying to fix some comments here, folks, in the chat.
So if you're here and I'm staring deep into your soul, I apologize.
that's what this is.
We're doing it remote, so it's not. Jordan doesn't have all this the fancy bells and whistles.
Jake's got all the tech, to be honest. So yeah, I just oversee the interns and the graphics.
We're just gonna let it be. So. If you're commenting, great. If you're here, thanks for hanging out.
Yep. Other things then. So if we shift gears then away from quarterbacks, let's talk wide receivers. So Marvin Harrison went 4th. Then we had another 6 more after Harrison that were taken. We had Malik Neighbors going to the Giants.
Well, that sucks.
That's
like until they get a good quarterback, like for fantasy purposes for next year, wide receiver 3 could give you some big numbers. or big games, I would say, right? I would feel better like if you're drafting him and he's your wide receiver 4 or something like that, 3. I like that.
My fear is he'll be overdrafted. Just being, obviously a
it'll be
top 10
super
pick, the
interesting to look
talent is
at.
there. Like, I think ADP is going to be a little bit too rich for me when the
Oh,
time comes.
100%.
But I think it'll end up in that wide receiver 3 range. And then dynasty, like long term, I
Dynasty,
think the fit is good long term. I think this next year it's going to be a little bit tough. Just because the Giants didn't support any top flight receivers or even anyone worth having on your team last year. So then at number 9, the Chicago Bears stayed at number 9 and they took Rome Odunze.
That's JSN from last year, where
okay.
He's stuck behind 2 guys. He's probably not going to return or like do very well fantasy wise for an entire year. Like I would expect JSN to do better this year, even though those 2 guys are still in front of him
there.
But it's the Keenan Allen show. It's the DJ Moore show. And then he'll have games here and there. He's going to be a better football player this upcoming year than he is going to be fantasy football player. Barring injury, which isn't crazy with the guy like Keenan Allen ahead of him. But Keenan Allen's just on a 1-year deal. So definitely could be returning or be more productive the following year.
Yeah. Do you know who really helps? Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Hurt.
Yeah, I love that for Caleb Williams. It actually boosts him in my mind, too, a little bit.
Oh, sure.
All right, the next pass catcher off the board, then to me was a little bit of surprise, was the Raiders at 13 taking Brock Bowers, who had slipped because the Jets took a lineman.
What a bummer.
Kind of jumped down.
I like it. I don't hate it. He's good. I think he could. Is he a top 10 tight end in fantasy?
No.
You don't think so?
Not this next year. In general.
I'm saying I'm saying in fantasy this upcoming year, is he a top 10?
I think he sits around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll play over Michael Mayer.
Oh, if there's one, the loser of this whole draft.
Poor Michael Mayer.
is Michael Mayer, yeah, who was the first tight end taken off the board last year.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was in the second round, but he was the first one.
Poor guy.
Yeah, that stings.
It just seems kind of I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Clearly the Raiders missed out on the quarterback, so they got probably the best available players with the way they went with that, which Brock Bowers was the best available player. Also, they weren't going to get him if they didn't take him right there.
Yep.
So it's the Gardner Minshew show.
It's Minshew Mania.
It's Minshew Mania.
I got to be honest. I do love that every year Minshew Mania lives on.
It won't die.
It lives on. I do love it. All right. Next pass catcher was Brian Thomas.
I like
goes
it.
to the Jags, and there was actually some trades. Minnesota traded up and took Dallas Turner, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
good
then
pick.
Yeah, which was a great pick. Yep. And then that bumped the Jags down, who took Brian Thomas, so wide receiver at LSU, the second wide receiver at LSU. That got taken to Jacksonville. So obviously no Calvin Ridley, but then they brought in Gabe Davis.
Can't trust Gabe Davis. Trust Gabe Davis for nothing.
Except for in that one playoff game. He did have 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Make the playoffs and you can trust Gabe Davis.
You can trust Gabe Davis.
I like it. I think that he should, I'm going to say by week 8, be hopping Gabe Davis for sure. If not be, he could. There's a path I can see where he's the number 1 receiver on that team.
Number 1, Christian Kirk?
Yeah.
You'd be ahead of Christian Kirk.
Be ahead of Christian Kirk.
I mean,
it
different
probably
roles.
take an injury to be ahead of Christian Kirk.
They're different roles.
But if I'm starting, if I'm deciding by week 4 who's the second receiver on that team, it's Brian Thomas. I don't trust Gabe Davis for anything.
Wow.
So
all right.
I think he's could, in redraft, I think he could have some good value if you're willing to sit on him for a little bit. Or if he doesn't even get drafted. I mean, he's a high rookie, so he will get drafted. But I think he could return some pretty good value. So
I think he might be drafted appropriately because of where he is on the depth chart. Because he'll be listed as number 3, so people will take him kind of in that wide receiver 4 range. And I think he has, wide receiver 2, 3 upside, assuming Gabe Davis is exactly who we think he is.
Yes. Assuming Gabe Davis doesn't all of a sudden be really good.
Yeah, yep. So. Then the next kind of skill position fantasy player that was taken was Xavier Worthy to Kansas City, who actually traded up with the Bills.
Of course they
to
did.
Take a wide receiver. And that just, the poor Bills.
What do you think of it?
Yeah. Well, we had a long discussion about this because Xavier Worthy obviously had that insane time at the 40 that really boosted his draft stock and put him up into the first round. The Chiefs have Rashee Rice, who's probably going to get some type of suspension. It's kind of their wide receiver 1. They brought in Hollywood Brown. They bring in Xavier Worthy. We talked a lot about it, and we think that gadget player, jet sweeps, that kind of thing is really what he'll get used as. We also think that the new kick return rules really come into play here, where Xavier Worthy being so fast is going to matter. So if you have leagues that those kick return yards are good, we were looking and talking, reliving the glory days of like Josh Cribbs scoring, like getting you like 50 points in a week because he would have so many kick return yards. And so maybe something like that could be the upside here for Xavier Worthy. But I think he will also be overdrafted.
I think it'll take time.
I think his ADP will be too high.
It just kind of stinks because it's like Hollywood Brown and him are pretty much the same person.
Yeah, really speedy.
Mhm.
Yeah, deep threats. So I guess
I
we'll
think
see.
overdrafted is probably where I would go on that, but we'll see where ADP is. It's a fun fit. It's a fun fit. I would have liked a different receiver in that area, maybe a more possession guy. But to me, it just sounds like we traded Tyreek Hill a few years ago, and we're just trying to find someone to fix that or to replace that.
To have the speed.
To have the
just
speed.
bring in
And
everyone
they just
for
can't
that.
seem to find it.
Yeah. Well, they're going to win the Super Bowl again. Doesn't
Probably,
really matter.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's whatever. Then another guy, I think the next two receivers went 31 and 32 overall. So the 49ers, they take Ricky Pearsall from Florida.
Love the player.
Yeah. He had that awesome catch.
Hate the spot.
It's a little
He
too
did
early.
have that really good catch. Well, I hate the landing. I mean, you're stuck behind Ayuk. You're stuck behind Debo. Assuming one of those guys doesn't get traded, which at this point I would doubt. Like we're past the draft.
Yeah, they can't. Like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said that they were not trading them, which
So he's
obviously
just
means
stuck on
nothing,
the depth
but-
chart. Which, I mean, if he ever gets a shot, I think he could be pretty good.
Yeah.
Dude's got good hands. I would have liked this guy to Kansas City.
Okay.
Just a guy who can catch well. He's not burning you, but
My prediction is 40 catches, 400 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
yeah, this
Like,
is a
he's
guy
that
that
kinda-
people will
that
take
kinda
in
guy.
the late double-digit rounds as a flyer. Because I mean, Debo has dealt with injuries before.
Yep.
So I mean, late. He's probably of all the guys we've talked about, will be the last receiver taken. Of the guys
Probably.
we've talked about
Probably.
so far.
Yep.
Because the next guy, Xavier Liggett, did I
Yeah.
say that right? Nice. Went to Carolina. He's like Mingo from last year.
Yeah.
He's like the same guy.
They traded up with the Bills. So Kansas City jumped up to the Bills at the spot. The Bills moved down to 32, and then Carolina jumps up into the first round to take a wide receiver, and the Bills then trade into the second round. So they actually move up 1 pick for that. But I agree.
Yeah.
Carolina needs, I mean, they
I
need
don't
all the
hate
receivers
it.
they
I don't
can
hate
have.
it because who's their number one? Adam Thielen.
Well, no, they brought in Deontay Johnson.
And they got Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
So he is a little bit buried on the depth chart because I don't see him jumping Adam Thielen just because Adam Thielen's so, what's the word? Consistent.
Yeah, he has
And
his
for a
role.
rookie
He has his
quarterback,
role.
a guy
He has
that
his
you
role.
can throw a drag route to a million times. If you remember, he was killing it for the first half of the season. Clearly, Bryce Young likes him, so I don't think they're going to jump him. Deontay Johnson should start right away. So at best, he's wide receiver 3 on a bad offense. Again, a lot of these receivers are guys that next year, the following year, not this upcoming year, the following year might really start taking those big steps.
Yeah, it's hard for just rookies in general, especially like rookie pass catchers who aren't in that like elite tier to really make a name for themselves their rookie year. But so dynasty, all these guys have different value to me. But redrafts, I think just really the ones at the top end are the ones worth like considering early.
Let's fire through these round 2 and 3 ones then.
Well, we don't even need to talk about them all. So we then
Oh no, we're
end
talking
the
about
first-
them all. Really
we're
quick.
talking about them all. All right.
15 seconds on each. Go.
Okay. Well, first round ends. New day. We're on to round 2.
Okay. Yes.
We talked to a Bills fan who then traded down. So we're talking to this Bills fan and his
poor
young
guy.
son. And they're there on the morning of day 2. We're walking around down in Detroit, and we ask them and we say, "Hey, what do you think? Like, what do you think of the Bills? Who do you want them to take the first round, or the first pick of the second round?" And he's like, "Man, I just don't want to go to bed disappointed. Me and my poor son, we stayed up till midnight, and the
Stayed there
Bills
the whole time.
and the
they
Bills
traded out.
and the Bills traded out of the round. So anyway, they get the first pick. They take Keon Coleman, so wide receiver, which is exact. We just needed Buffalo to take a wide receiver.
Is he like immediately
I
wide
like him.
receiver 1?
I like him more than I like Xavier Leggett, Ricky Pearsall, Brian Thomas, Xavier. Like he jumps way up, not in talent, but like next year, I think Coleman has a role immediately
I mean,
because
he's their
they're such a
only
void.
receiver.
Well, they have like Curtis Samuel.
Neat.
Yeah, I think he
If
immediately.
you
is
say
gonna
his
make a
name
name
too
for
many
himself.
times, he'll hurt his hamstrings. So I don't care about him. There's no reason that Coleman shouldn't by week 4 be their number 1 guy.
Be their number 1 guy. Yep.
Especially if you're taking him there.
Speaking of number 1 guys,
Yeah.
the Chargers then take Lad McConkey. I know
Number
a
one.
favorite of yours.
Number 1. All he's got is Quentin Johnson ahead of him, Josh Palmer. Love him. I just
Yeah.
love him. I think by the end of the year, fantasy points, he's at least top 3.
Top 3.
Yeah, in like from the rookie receivers.
Oh, from the rookies. I was like,
not
oh my
not
goodness.
like total,
Okay.
but like rookie
All right.
receivers. I think Marvin Harrison will have more. I think Malik Neighbors will have more. But after that, I'm going Lad.
Lad is okay.
Is that a booking? Am I booking that? I'm
You can
booking
book it.
that.
He's booking it.
I
All right.
love some Lad McConkey, a guy who can just catch well.
Yeah, it's a
That's
great
what I
spot
like.
for him too. I think the Bills and the Chargers, whoever they were going to take, I was going to like no matter
Mhm.
what, because they have such a void
Yep.
in wide receivers. Then we got Jalen Polk, who's went to the New England Patriots, another
Love
wide
it.
receiver.
I like it.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't like the Patriots offense. I don't really want much to do with that. But you get the quarterback, you take the receiver who's probably going to be should get up there.
Yeah,
I mean, they have
that's why you draft
Demario
him.
Davis or not Demario Davis. Demario Douglas.
Demario Douglas.
Who's
Yeah.
Demario Davis.
I don't know.
Is he a linebacker? Is that Demario Davis? Saints linebacker.
See, this is
why
the
we got him
research.
off.
We got the
This
research
is the
department.
intern.
Yeah, they're talking our ear. Exactly.
Demario Douglas. So there's no reason he couldn't be productive. I like him as a late flyer later on in a redraft league,
He's definitely one that I think will be drafted really, really late.
and could give
Could
some
end up
good
yeah,
upside.
He might be a good value.
Good
pick.
upside.
Yep.
And then they took a tackle. So it's like if you're restarting your offense, that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
So-
Maybe we got to give the Patriots a little credit.
No, I'm not ready to do Nope.
new head coach
Nope,
there.
not ready
All
to
right,
do it.
Not ready to do it. All right. Then the first running back goes off the board. The Panthers again strike again. They take Jonathan Brooks. So poor Miles Sanders.
Yeah, poor Miles Sanders.
Jake's favorite running back.
I don't love Miles Sanders.
So I think Jonathan Brooks was everyone's running back one kind of in the draft. The Cowboys were talking forever that they wanted him, which I think would have been a better fit. So
Now
we
any
got-
running back to the Cowboys. They to right now. We're round 4 starting in a half hour. If a running back goes to the Cowboys, they might be running back 1.
all
when
right.
it comes to rookies,
All right.
because it's the only team with such a void. This is either going to be Brooks for sure, or it's going to be a mess, fantasy wise,
Fantasy-wise,
for Carolina.
Yeah.
So
I'm-
it might be good for them.
I'm gonna
Like
be
the
honest,
team.
the Carolina Panthers, I'm gonna lean more towards it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, I don't.
That's gonna be my.
Yeah, if I'm betting the house.
It's gonna be my vote. So then we get Adonai Mitchell, who fell to the second round to the Indianapolis Colts,
Mhm.
and some fiery language out of
Oh
GM
yes,
from.
shame.
Yeah.
Don't use those words. Go find it though. It's hilarious.
It's
The
pretty
GM
funny, yeah.
is not happy about what people are saying about him.
Yeah. So basically, the moral of the story is off the field issues seem to have pushed him down,
Yes.
and personality issues seem to have pushed him down the
Correct.
board.
Yeah.
The Colts GM said
He's fine.
he's fine. They're young players. We can mold them. I think the talent is there.
I like it.
Yeah, and we even thought that the Colts were going to move up to take a wide
Mhm.
receiver at some point. That was one of our fact or fiction things. And we
That's
could see
right.
it. We could see
That's
it.
right. Yeah.
They didn't even need to move up, and they ended up with Adonai Mitchell at wide receiver.
Again, another guy that probably be taken late could return good value because they got Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce,
And it's like there's no
yeah.
reason if Mitchell's couldn't jump him.
Yeah.
So good for Anthony Richardson. Next up, we got Trey Benson going for Arizona. That stinks.
Behind James Conner.
Behind James Conner.
Well, James Conner could get hurt.
He could get hurt, but
Yeah.
you can't draft on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe I bet you he goes undrafted. I think a lot of these guys that were coming up are going to go undrafted. Like,
Jermaine Burton, the wide receiver that went to Cincinnati.
yeah,
I
he'll
think
go
that's a future,
undrafted.
but that's a future pick, right?
Yeah.
T. Higgins, Boyd, all of them got to get paid. So I think that's just to hedge against that. Blake Corum then goes to the Rams.
Should be Kyrian Williams. But we've seen the Rams use multiple running backs before, so he could get some carries. But he's, again, undrafted, barring injury. So I can't see that.
Yep.
Roman Wilson to Pittsburgh.
They always find value.
They always find
They
value.
always find value. But I don't know if like immediately he would start as someone. That's
No,
going to be a
it's
free
not.
agency pickup if he
Yeah.
ends up being, because Deontay Johnson's gone now. So
They
that'd be a
really
free
just have
agency pickup.
Pickens, though. They haven't signed anyone else. That's the thing. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, so they've been linked to Tyler Boyd a lot, who's still sitting out there, which I think if that happens, I mean, that just makes too much sense. But I mean, right now it's Calvin Austin as wide receiver 2. So there's really no reason why
You know what they say?
couldn't.
Russell Wilson can support multiple wide receiver
Multiple
ones.
Wilsons.
Multiple Wilsons. Yeah. So we'll see. The quarterback situation is going to depend a lot there.
Green Bay takes Marshawn Lloyd. Almost said Lynch. That would have been cool. He's wider. He's going to be running back 3 on that team. That's
On
a
that
future
depth chart.
pick, and
Yeah.
so undrafted. Keep it moving.
Yeah, behind Josh Jacobs and AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon, yeah.
Yeah.
We got Jalen McMillan going to Tampa Bay. At best, he's wide receiver 3. Again, undrafted.
That's a future, but they can't
Future.
keep Godwin and Evans for long term.
Mhm.
So one of them will have to go. And then the last one is Luke McCaffrey. Family.
Brother.
Yep. Going to Washington again.
Wide receiver 3 at
Just-
best.
Yep,
Start
at
out.
best.
You're not starting him over Jahan Dotson.
And again, we're not predicting all these guys are wide receiver 3s.
No,
That is
like
their
on depth
ceiling.
chart.
That is that is, I would say, their ceiling. If everything goes perfectly for these guys, they could be a wide receiver 3 or 4. They're probably not getting drafted as such in redraft leagues.
Perfect.
Jake, what are you looking forward to for the next?
For rounds 4 through 7,
Yeah.
Packers pick a lot, so I'm excited for that. Interesting to see where Spencer Rattler goes.
Yeah.
I think if he goes to the Raiders, if I'm the Raiders, I'm taking him.
Yeah.
Like, because you let him, like, that's a true sit behind Gardner Minshew and just see what you got, you know? We're Wisconsin guys. Braylon Allen, want to see where he goes?
Yeah.
Braylon Allen goes to the Cowboys. Forget about it.
You're excited about
I'm
it?
excited about that.
Okay. Wow. I love it.
Hey, why don't you tell them some of the cool stuff that happened?
Yeah,
yesterday?
so lots and lots of
We'll
cool
end on
stuff
that.
that we got. We'll make sure that we share it on kind of all of our channels and pages here. But we were able to talk to Pat McAfee.
We talked with Pat McAfee.
So got a nice plug. He took a little video for us, so we'll make sure we get that shared.
That's cool.
Yeah, Field Yates.
Got some,
Don threw some stickers to him. Got some signatures on those stickers,
We'll
so
give
we'll
those
make sure
away.
we give those away. What else we got? Oh, some players. A lot of players. Jameer Gibbs.
Jameer Gibbs took a
Holding-
picture with
yep,
the
holding
with
one
the
of the stickers here. So big shout out to Don. It's been great just like being around and
Yeah.
chatting with all. He's always waiting in lines to meet these
He's
guys.
currently in line with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Just love it.
and he's like, I'll just get a picture with
Yep.
with the podcast stuff. And I was like, great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just super, super cool. So we'll make sure to share that. But that Pat McAfee one is a great video, good 20-second video. We got to
gonna
get
throw
shared
that
out
down.
here. So
We got stuff. We made stuff. Look, stuff. So keep an eye out. We're gonna do some sort of merch order here in the coming weeks.
yeah. So very, very exciting. But I got to just say thank you to everyone who supports us. It's been a lot of
it's been
fun.
fun.
So
I don't know where our mouse is.
that's all right. I got it.
Oh, perfect. Jordan, you got anything else you want to say?
Nothing else.
All right, Zach, anything you want to say? Go Pack, go. Go Pack, go. All right, guys, take care. Be good. Perfect.